I've got two words for you on this beautiful day. Recency bias. We all love it. No, I'm just kidding. We all hate it. But it is the sad reality of NBA discourse. Every conversation is dominated by recency bias, and that is the topic of today's video. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know how insane Ja Morant has been. I mean, it's all the NBA media is talking about. Even the official NBA Instagram page looks like a Ja Morant fan page. Look at this. This is a real screenshot. They posted like 11 straight pictures of Ja Morant at some point. It's obvious that the NBA is pushing Ja to be one of the new faces of the league. And it's easy to see why, man. One, he's really good. Two, he's really fun to watch. I mean, every game there's something. A 360 no-scope layup, dunking over somebody twice his size, 30, 40, 50-point performances. Feels like every game Ja Morant has at least 5 plays you legitimately have to see to believe. And on top of that, he just seems like a good dude. Just seems like somebody who's easy to root for. However, all this media hype can come with some downsides. People will inevitably get annoyed if all they see on their timelines or their TV screens are the same players or the same teams over and over and over again. It's why people hate the Dallas Cowboys right now, even though they suck. It's why people got annoyed of Zion when he was at Duke. If I'm remembering correctly, ESPN used to have Zion's stat line on the screen during completely unrelated college basketball games. Duke wasn't even involved in the game at all, and they would have Zion's stat line on the screen. It was the same thing during Luka's rookie year. All they would talk about is Luka. People got fed up with it, and now there are people who don't like Luka, mainly because all the attention he's gotten. Is that fair to those players? Is that fair to Ja Morant? Of course not, but that's just the reality of the situation. I'm not saying that's me. I'm not annoyed by it. I understand how great Ja Morant is. But the one thing that does annoy the ever-living shit out of me is the constant player comparison debates. Every time a player plays well, especially a young player, they get compared to literally everybody in the league at some point, it feels like. And the one player comparison debate I just cannot seem to escape is Ja Morant and Luka Doncic. Mainly the who would you rather start a franchise around, Ja or Luka. I swear, it pops up every other day. Be on the lookout for it. You will see it every other day. Listen, as a Dallas Mavericks fan and therefore a Luka Doncic fan, I have to say I think Luka clears. But you know, I am a little bit slightly biased. Hey, that's the name of the channel. Yes, you're right. That is the name of the channel. Listen, I need to get real with you guys for a second, okay? If you're not subscribed to this channel, I need you to get serious about your life, okay? We post regular NBA content. We stream NBA games all the time, and the NBA playoffs are right around the corner. And guess what? We're streaming every game. Every single NBA playoff game, we will be streaming on this channel, reacting to it. So make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss it. Also, hit the notification bell so you know whenever we go live. And like this video, because if you don't like, am I getting moved? Am I getting moved off the screen? Only 50% of you are subscribed. Only 50%. What are the rest of you doing? Channel. And I'm telling you guys, when it comes to NBA discourse, these who would you rather have on your team discussions, they have it all. They have the whole shebang. Recency bias, lying, agenda pushing, all of it. It's great. So let's take a look at some, shall we? This is the tweet right here that made me even want to make this video in the first place. In the replies, woo, they're a roller coaster. Let's start with one of the many types of replies, the objectively wrong opinions. These are people who, God bless them. There's just no way they watch. There's just no way they watch a sport, and that's okay. Not everybody has the time. Ja can do everything that Luka can. Give me Ja. You see, this is just an interesting take because I don't know. They couldn't be more opposite of players. Ja Morant is just an uber athlete, super fast, loves to get out in transition, uses his athleticism to blow right past guys, uses his craftiness at the rim for crazy acrobatic finishes, dunks all over people. And then you have Luka, who is not that athletic, relies on his strength and craftiness to get to the rim, then finishes through contact or creates contact in order to draw a foul. On top of that, Luka is 6'7", Ja Morant's not 6'7". Luka's a generational playmaker. Ja's not a generational playmaker. This one's wrong. Ja, because he can play both ends of the floor and is a better leader. This is something I have seen on numerous occasions. This narrative that Ja Morant is a good defender while Luka Doncic isn't. I think Stephen A. Smith even said something similar. Listen, I don't think either of these guys are necessarily good defenders, but if I'm picking somebody to be a defender on my team, I would rather have Luka simply due to the fact that, again, he's 6'7", and Ja Morant isn't. There's just more things I can do with somebody who is 6'7". Again, neither of these guys are necessarily great defenders, but when Luka is locked in, which is an issue for him, I would take Luka. This is my favorite type of tactic, and I deploy this tactic quite a bit when I'm pushing agendas, spreading propaganda, and that is just blatantly lying. That's just lying. Exaggerating, or just flat out making shit up. It's a great strategy when you're trying to push an agenda, when you're trying to spread propaganda, and I recommend you guys try it out sometime. Here we go. Why are we making this a question? Just look at real life. Both of these guys were put in similar situations with their organizations. One has changed the culture around his team and is the third seed, talking about John Morant. The other is doing very well individually, talking about Luka. I'm not entirely sure this guy knows how bad the Mavs were before Luka Doncic was drafted. The Dallas Mavericks' young core consisted of Dennis Smith Jr. and yep, that's it. I'll take Ja, only because the other one is addicted to eating cheeseburger Hot Pockets and drinking gallons of sweet tea. Reminds me of myself from freshman year of college. Luka Doncic is great, like great. He almost looks like he's at his peak, a plateau. But John Morant's just the real deal. There's longevity in his game. He's also a student of the game. He can only get better from here. I'm taking Morant. This is a talking point that has followed Luka literally ever since he came into the league. Because he's been in professional basketball so long. Because he was playing in a professional league as a teenager, he's already reached his ceiling. And he's not going to develop much. Just not true. Luka has developed his game every single year in the league. Obviously, last year he developed an elite mid-range game out of nowhere. This year, yeah, that mid-range game has disappeared a little bit, and he needs to pick up his shooting. But he's played better defense this year in his career than he has at any other point. So every year we've seen Luka add stuff to his game, and there's still so much room for improvement in his game that I have a hard time believing this is his peak. Ja can be a team player while Luka is a heliocentric player. Oh God. Ja is not a foul merchant, unlike Luka, foul merchant that always crying at refs for free throws. If you want a team success, you can pick Ja. If you want personal accolades, you can pick Luka. Listen, one of the worst things to ever happen to basketball discourse was the introduction of the word heliocentric. I think John Morant is more marketable, more flashy, will sell more jerseys, also seems to be more agreeable, so less internal conflict. The talent levels are close, even though the skill sets are much different, so I'm going with John Morant. Well, Luka sells more jerseys than John Morant currently. In the future, will that change? It's a very, very real possibility, of course, but you have to remember, there's a whole international audience that you're tapping into when you have a guy like Luka on your team. Secondly, what's the deal with this internal conflict? This is not the first time I've seen this, where people are suggesting that Luka is a bad teammate or he's a locker room cancer. I get that he throws his tantrums on the court. They're very fucking annoying. And if I were Luka's teammate, they would piss me off to no end. But I'm not in the NBA. I'm fat and out of shape. And also, there's just no reports to back this up. I mean, maybe the KP stuff, but KP left the New York Knicks on bad terms. It was an ugly divorce. Came to the Mavericks, had issues, left. Nobody seemed that sad. What's the phrase? If everywhere you go smells like shit, maybe it's time to check your shoe. Oh, hello, random Hawks fan. You know, our Hawks fan has a point here. Are we even sure Ja has cleared Trae yet? Like, I'm honestly starting to feel bad for Trae Young. This dude had a Cinderella-esque run in the playoffs last year, came within 2 games of making the finals, played great in the playoffs, has honestly played pretty good this season, despite the fact that the Hawks haven't been good. And it feels like nobody's talking about him. Like, it feels like we have now just gotten rid of the Luka Trae debate, and now it's just like Luka Ja. Like, Ja has cleared Trae all of a sudden. I'm not so sure. I still think Luka and Trae are the 2 premier young players in the NBA, and sure, Ja's right there, like right on the doorstep, but maybe it's a little bit too early. I don't know. And hey, I also want to be fair, right? There are 2 ends of the spectrum. There are also the people like, Mavericks fans and even other fans of other teams who are acting like John Morant isn't even close to Luka and that Ja doesn't even deserve to breathe the same air as Luka. Here's somebody saying Ja has a higher ceiling, and somebody is replying to this just completely losing their mind. I actually don't think it's too crazy to say Ja maybe has a higher ceiling than Luka. That doesn't necessarily mean Ja is going to reach that ceiling, but just given the amount of things Ja Morant can do, I don't think it's that crazy to say his ceiling is maybe a little bit higher. But again, there's no guarantee he even reaches that. Look at Michael Porter Jr. His ceiling is one of the highest in all basketball. A 7-footer who can score by himself. He can shoot. He can score off the dribble. He could do so many things offensively. If he ever stayed healthy and figured it out defensively, he'd be one of the best players in the NBA. But are we sure he's going to reach that ceiling? Like, would you rather have Michael Porter Jr. on your team right now or Mikal Bridges? Right? Michael Porter Jr.'s ceiling is way higher, but Mikal Bridges is probably a lot safer as a player. There are a couple right here. Luka Doncic. Ja relies mostly on his athleticism. Ja is more spectacular, but if he gets injured, his game will suffer. And then here's another one. I really like Ja. He's having a nuclear year, but Luka clears him in everything except athleticism. He's been an MVP candidate every season besides his rookie one, and for better or worse, Ja's play style is not longevity friendly. That's just a fact. So I'd rather build around Luka. I don't know how fair this is, honestly. Sure, the track record for these uber athletic players isn't the best, knock on wood, but I feel like that's not fair to hold against Ja right now. I mean, there's no guarantee Ja even ends up like that. Maybe Ja is a one-of-a-kind freak who's able to sustain this level of play for his entire career. I mean, who knows? I just feel like that's not necessarily a fair knock on Ja at this point. It's not like Luka's been without his injuries, man. He's had lingering ankle injuries for years now. Ja can only do highlights. He can't actually carry a team. Trade Luka team for the one Ja is on right now and watch Luka win a championship in 1 or 2 seasons. Well, Ja can only do highlights. Ja does like fucking 20 highlights a game, so I guess we'll take it. What did we learn from this video? Nothing. That's the point. These NBA discussions are terrible, man. I was scrolling down this tweet for probably an hour and a half, and I found maybe like 2% of the tweets I saw were legitimate and had like decent takes and some decent discourse happening. But I'd rather start my franchise around Ja or Luka. Obviously Luka. I mean, come on. I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan, so obviously I'm going to say that. But I do think a 6'7" forward is a little bit easier to build around than a guard. I mean, that's just historically been the case. Outside of the Steph Curry Warriors, what other team in recent history has had a smaller guard be the best player on a championship team? It's very rare. It just is. I mean, in the end, I don't think you could go wrong, really. Both of these guys are amazing. Both of these guys have MVP potential, finals MVP potential. But what the fuck do I know? Nothing. I know literally nothing.